reasons, like I mentioned yesterday. The other reason why I want to mention here today is another hadith. You know, on Friday, usually the Imam, he says khutbatul hajah. And in khutbatul hajah, Allah's Prophet used to say, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, a few ayat. And one of the ayat that he would say was, ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi. Fear Allah the way he should be feared. Haqqa tuqati, the real way. So you have the taqwa, you fear Allah, but there's a way of really fearing Allah. There's a hadith that's similar to that I want to share with you as it relates to your minds. The Prophet told his companions, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, istahyu min Allahi haqq al-haya. You companions, you Muslims, you should be shy of Allah in the real way, in the correct way, the legislative way, the way that's accepted and loved by him. They say, Ya Rasulullah, we do have haya from Allah. We don't walk around naked with any clothes. We don't steal from the masjid because we know Allah is looking. We don't steal, we don't do these things that we can do. And what prevents us from doing those things is we know Allah sees and Allah hears. So we have haya from Allah. He said, that's not what I'm talking about. He said, that's not what I'm talking about. He said, what I'm talking about, and this is the point, احفظ الرأس وما وعى واحفظ البطن وما حوى. And he went on and said some more things. He said, what I'm talking about is that you protect your head. You safeguard your head. Fearing Allah or having shyness of Allah, protect your head and what you put inside of your head. And protect your stomach and what you put inside of and nourish you in your stomach. So what's the meaning of protect your head? Protect your head in that MMF, boxing, fighting. You can't hit the head. In Al-Islam, in the issues of hudud and things like that, and the jinayat, when you hurt someone, you wound someone, and you have to pay them money for bringing blood out of their bodies. The head is the most expensive one of the body parts. Because the center of how a person is going to think and survive, inshallah. You give him a concussion, you break his arm, is different from hitting. Protect your head and what goes in it. Don't put your head in a position where you're getting it boxed up and hit up unnecessarily. Also, protect your head means don't smoke weed, don't get high, don't do drugs. Protect your head is also don't sit with crazy people who have you wondering and thinking, are you the person who was sitting here an hour ago? You're the person who went to sleep here an hour ago? You're the person who was being told, challenge and question Allah, God, question Allah about everything that's right and wrong. No. Prophet Muhammad told the people, listen to this, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you young people, happens to everybody. He said, don't any of you sit and you let shaitan come to you. Shaitan comes to you while you're sitting there and he says, who created this? The person said, Allah created that because he's a Muslim. Who created that? Allah created the moon. Who created those stars? Allah created those stars. Who created those animals? Allah created those animals. Until the shaitan says, who created Allah? Because the person is doing that. He starts asking questions about the qadr. If the qadr is real, why did Allah allow this to happen to the baby? Is the qadr, why did Allah? No, it's not for us to let our minds entertain that. Your mind is limited, especially at this stage in this age, I believe. And we try to articulate this from the member. I believe you shabab, you have a voice, and your voice should be heard. But it shouldn't be heard all the time, and it shouldn't be heard every time and in every way. You should be heard who you want to marry, who you don't want to marry. What you want to do in activities in the masjid, what you don't want to do at your home. You have something to say. This is why we were trying to show the community what we do for the youngsters here. But the older people have more to say because they're older. They're more experienced. They know more. So don't expose your brains and your head and your intellect to things and people who will make you start doubting your religion. And there are a lot of people who doubt their religion now. And if you sit like that, it's easy. And I'm telling you, probably most, if not everybody, has had those moments where he said, when we die, what's really going to happen? People say that. You have that moment where shaitan comes. Rasulullah said, if that happens, shaitan, who created this, who created that, who created this, who created Allah? Rasulullah said, if that happens, you should say, I believe in Allah as my Lord. I believe in al-Islam. And I believe in Allah and I believe in Muhammad as the messenger. And that will repel that shaitan. Like when you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Lastly, the only talk that I heard from all of the talks that were given today was one. And that was the talk of the Sheikh Hassan Hanif. When he talked, I was standing there doing some things, and he started talking, and those stories of what happened with the Qur'an were being replayed to me, and I started thinking about those men who heard the Qur'an being recited. I knew all of those stories, but I didn't hear him for a while, so when he said them, I was motivated. I was captivated. I was stuck in my tracks, right there in my shoes, like I had mud in my boots. And that's because I said to myself, I have to do more with that Qur'an. We have two people on my left, to your right, who can just talk about a talk and they have the book of Allah in their heads and everything is there. And I have to do more. And I'm giving dawah to Allah. I have to do more. And that's why those words gripped me specifically. In my house, there was a Qur'an on the chair, on the couch. My son put it there. He put it on the couch. And someone put a toy on the Qur'an. They didn't mean to do that. But how many of you in your house, the Qur'an is not being, you don't mean to do that. But there was a time when I came into Islam, if that happened, I said, whoa. And I say, I got to fix that. And that's the sensitivity that I want my children to have and people connected to me. Not going overboard, but no. That Qur'an can't just be sitting anywhere. And this is the biggest advice that we can give to you, Shabab. That you reconnect yourself to the book of Allah. If we don't do that, we're doing our job and giving dawah, but is it really going to work? Is it really the dawah? Is it just kalam? The success of this ummah is what Al-Imam Malik said, and I'm done. Al-Imam Malik was from the leaders of the Salaf. The people who we want to pattern our lives after. Al-Imam Malik said, what was good enough for those first community, those companions, may Allah be pleased with them, and what rectified them is what's going to be good for the latter part of the community and what rectifies us. And what was good for them and enough for them was the book of Allah. I get up here, we get up here, we scream, we scream, we scream. If we don't connect ourselves to that book, it's a problem. So I can say, I'm lacking in the Qur'an, but I got a son on the verge of memorizing that Qur'an. There are people in the audience who I see, they put the work in and their sons memorize the Qur'an. Not all of the kids, but maybe one or two. What about you? Where you stand? I have more than one son. One is on the verge. What happened to the other ones? I was lunching. So for you youngsters, I say to you guys, be of those people who love the book of Allah, but it's going to take a village, like we say in Africa. It takes a village to raise a kid. We all got to raise our commitment and what we're trying to do with pushing this community forward by putting a lot of emphasis on the book of Allah, studying it, memorizing it, loving it, protecting it, and standing up for it, and respecting the people who memorized it. Barakallahu feekum wa ahsanallahu ilaykum.